this Dennis Prager thing. Jesus Christ. Didn't Chapo do a good bit with Dennis Prager where they played like Marvin Gaye in the background and just did a breakdown of how Dennis Prager is basically like the horniest guy on the planet? So
also tax deductible Dennis Prager.
He's taxed this motherfucker.
PragerU is tax deductible.
PragerU is a propaganda YouTube series to seed anti-science, corporate exploitation, and bigotry.
It's a history whitewashing operation.
Soon to be a federally credited institution. Really? I'm joking, but I hope not.
I mean, we're coming.
Probably.
Yeah. Dennis is doing a great job. By the way, a Jew. Although not a fun one.
If you're a rich asshole, you can lower your tax liabilities by giving money to this guy.
Can't wait to take Owen Benjamin's class on the social implications of using bad language.
Oh yeah, the Owen Benjamin video was very.
He knows the social implications of that.
Definitely not as strong as the Sam Harris material, which was actually pretty funny. So this is okay. Let me set this up for a little bit. Say you watch Tucker Carlson every night. And you're enraged because there's roving immigrant hordes and Tucker has you all worked up into a paranoid, bigoted lather. And he's saying like, well, I don't understand. Like, why can't we just protect our border? And you're all upset and the country's going to hell, even though your party controls all three branches of government. And your immediate life is actually totally secure, cushy, and protected. In fact, you couldn't have an easier life. But your blood pressure is high, you're taking all these medications, you're depressed, you're angry, and you're irrationally afraid and terrified, which is why you even have to be thinking about gypsies, for God's sake, which everybody should always remember. That was literally a Tucker Carlson segment was on the gypsies. Speaking of some of the retro flavors of modern right-wing politics. So you have all this tension built up, and say you're married, presumably in a very loveless marriage, and you sort of work your way off of the couch. There's a Hannity commercial break. You're about to come back on and figure out what the new Clinton Soros plan with the deep state is, and you got about 20 seconds in you to relieve yourself of your earthly burdens in your wife, and she doesn't want to because for probably endless number of obvious reasons she is not in the mood. Well, Dennis Prager is here to help you, and he's on his old buddy Tucker's network to tell this audience and explain Dennis Prager's new When a Woman Isn't in the Mood series.
Simply offer the advice to a woman. If you love your husband and he is a good man, then don't let mood alone determine whether or not you'll have sex with him, because it's an important thing to him. So give it a try. Okay? I don't want to jump in, but is my wife still here?
Oh, I didn't even know Corolla was
earlier. She was. Lynette. All right. There's some
That's Adam Carolla?
Yeah, that's Adam Carolla.
I didn't realize.
This is my man.
Oh my God, Dennis, where?
It's really not that funny.
He's not here.
Well, all right. So it's truly helpful. So here's the terrible part.
We got that.
Yeah, I think we established that, dude. But it's just, it's just so creepy because it's like, I don't know. Just imagine branding this. It's just, wow.
It's so fucking creepy.
Free speech is under threat on college campuses.
And like,
fuck your husband, for God's sake.
Not to state the obvious, but women often do that a lot of the time. And you know what? It's none of his business.
Come on.
There's a little bit left of this.
If you love me,
we gotta get the horrible part.
Love me, and I'm a good man.
So here's the terrible part. In Huffington Post just 2 weeks ago, a guy cited this from 10 years ago. Prager advocates marital rape, and that's what they wrote in the Colorado State University. The guy, beware, a guy who believes in marital rape is coming to campus.
That's disgusting.
Yes.
Can we just have a freeze frame on his face right after Carl?
It sort of
right after
like
Tucker says that's disgusting. Can we just have
drop.
Can we just have a clip of Prager's face like that? That is disgusting.
That's the face
That's
I want to
disgusting.
take my marital advice from right there.
It sort of sounds like he's making a bit of an early apology for a potential marital rape. Like I said,
Get out ahead of this divorce.
yeah,
settlement.
like
Yeah.
think about more than your mood. Think about like you might get raped in the future.
Jesus Christ.
I mean, that's literally what he's, I think, implying there.
Well,
Like,
it's also
it's blaming the wife if she doesn't like control her husband's drives.
but it's also like it's so insidious because I don't know, like if you read like some type of like, you know, psychology book on like negotiating a relationship, which I am not ashamed to admit that I've half done and I failed, but they're like, what I'm saying is he's picking up on things that you might read in like an actual serious book. Like, hey, if you're in a relationship, you need to negotiate boundaries together. You need to negotiate like all sorts of arrangements of how you spend time together, how people want to, you know, touch each other and everything else, right? And he's using this and then he's turning it into a misogynist attack on women. And then basically subtextually by connecting it with campus stuff, making this like attempting to make this like much broader indictment of essentially just progress. I don't know if what I'm saying makes sense, but it's just like these guys are so masterful at taking things that could be like a conversation in one domain and then weaponizing it
Because all they
for
care,
like this broader like attack.
all they care about is not the conversation, but what the conversation accomplishes, right?
That's
So it's like
right,
we
exactly.
say, it's why you have like Jacob Wall trying to do this Robert Mueller rape accuser thing,
Right.
Because he sees, and from his perspective, he's dumb enough to believe that most of these accusations against, say, Kavanaugh were fake and made
Right.
up by the Democrats, and so they're like, well, you did that to do this, I want to do that too.
Right. I think that's exactly it. I would say it's nauseating, but if you look on YouTube, the Chapo bit about Dennis Prager just being hopelessly horny and harassing his wife, and the idea of reading Prager passages underneath Marvin Gaye is I mean, that's sort of like the poles of human experience, right? Like from the highest to the lowest depths right there.
Ugh.
Yeah,
It-
that is just a real clip.
It really seems to speak to a certain subsection of like maybe the men's rights people.
Oh yeah,
or the-
I think he's a
the incel
pioneer of
people,
that.
because their model for something sexy and healthy is not something that's actually sexy and healthy, right? It's not like, I don't know, John Legend and Chrissy Teigen. She's a supermodel. He's like a good looking guy. They have an egalitarian relationship. No, he's like a cuck to them. Their model for who's the man is fucking Donald Trump, right? Because they don't care. They don't care about the woman's experience of any of this. They care about having power over another human being. So like they can look at Donald Trump and like his wife is clearly disgusted by him. But
visibly disgusted.
yeah.
And she's a disgusting person. So
Yeah.
that says a lot.
Yeah, but
I
like
would
the
really
fact
like
that
to
that's
see,
like he's the man.
I would love to see Dennis Prager call John Legend a cuck. That would
mean,
be some very good
Well,
television.
stay tuned.
Like in person.
If you
I'm
consider,
not talking like on a PragerU video.
if you come from the school that considers a wife as an asset, like the cuck school of alt-right does,
Right.
then being told that your asset doesn't have to obey your commands makes your asset less valuable to you.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they
that's how they
see
view it.
other human beings as being instrumental to their idea of being the man, which is also why they like Hugh Hefner, I think, because like, do you think that Hugh Hefner's girlfriends are all like in love with him? Probably not.
Well, I mean, he's
It's more
dead.
like-
He's dead, so probably not.
Well, in the Hugh Hefner imaginary, let's say, because he lives on in spirit.
He lives on in spirit.
Unfortunately, he very much does, and it's more about having like money and power over women than it is about having like a real two-sided relationship with another human being.
Ew.
Ew, that's gross.